The dragon's wings split the dawn like blades of molten silver, scattering dust and static through the thin air above the crater plains. Beneath it, Commander Rhys Ardent stood within the nerve cradle of his command pod, surrounded by streams of holographic telemetry that danced in ghostly rhythm with his heartbeat. His neural link to the beast pulsed at the base of his skull, a living current, the connection between man and weapon, thought and storm. Around him, the warfront stretched for kilometers, a smoldering scar of metal and ash where the Empire's enemies had vanished like mist before the sun. He had trained 7 dragons before this one, but none like Tyravel Asterisk. Born in the vats of Luna's dark shipyards, shaped by human will and alien DNA, the creature was both beautiful and terrible, a perfect fusion of ancient legend and synthetic evolution. Its eyes burned with layered cognition, its wings charged with plasma currents that shimmered in impossible hues. Rhys felt its hunger, not for flesh, but for flight, for dominance, for the rush of power that came with unleashed creation. The galaxy had learned to fear that feeling. Beyond the tactical displays, a planet turned beneath them, a colony that had refused imperial integration, now reduced to whispers on emergency frequencies. Civilians still hid in the ruins. Rhys could hear the faint signals, the cries for mercy, filtered through encrypted channels. The War Council demanded silence, but something in him resisted. He watched Tyravel circle the horizon, a halo of lightning against the pale sky, and for the first time in years, he wondered if the dragons understood what they were burning for. The link flared again, emotionless, yet alive. The dragon saw him not as master but as companion, bound by shared purpose. Rhys's fingers tightened on the control lattice as orders echoed through his comms. Purge the surface. Leave nothing that breathes. The words felt hollow, heavy. The old smile tugged at his lips, practiced and cold, but even that felt like armor cracking under its own weight. He whispered a single command, and the dragon roared, an ancient sound reshaped by steel and sorrow, rising toward the sky where war had become a way of life and mercy a forgotten art. Far below the burning clouds, Ilara crouched among the fractured remains of an observatory dome, her breath shallow as the earth trembled with the echoes of the dragon's passage. The air shimmered with magnetic residue, making the ruins hum like the inside of a living machine. She had grown up hearing stories about the Empire's dragons, how they were not born but built, how their minds carried both the cruelty of men and the logic of machines. Yet seeing one carve across the sky, its wings dragging lightning behind them, she felt something beyond fear, something close to awe. The colony had fallen in a single day. The defense grid had failed before sunrise, and the skies filled with fire before anyone could flee. But Ilara had stayed. Her father's voice, now only an echo from the comms buried under rubble, told her once that the stars were alive, and that not all monsters were what they seemed. She clung to that thought as she watched the colossal shadow sweep across the valley. Each beat of its wings stirred the dust of dead civilizations. Each roar tore open the heavens with electric grief. She found the transmitter half buried in glassed soil, still flickering weakly with static. Through it came fragments of a distant signal, the Empire's voice, metallic and cruel, issuing commands to cleanse the planet. But beneath that cold precision, another sound leaked through, a heartbeat, steady and human, resonating within the neural channel. It was faint, yet she felt it in her bones as though the dragon itself were breathing through her. When the tremors ceased, she stepped out onto the plain. Above her, the sky glowed with trails of ionized smoke, and from that luminous storm descended the war dragon. Its descent cracked the air, folding the atmosphere like cloth. Ilara's pulse quickened, but her feet refused to move. The stories had said that no one could stand before a war dragon and live, but the stories, she decided, were written by those who never tried. The dragon landed with the force of an orbital strike, its claws sinking into the fused glass of the plain, molten cracks spreading outward in glowing veins. The wind from its wings tore through the ruins, scattering ash and memory alike. Within the command pod high above, Commander Reese watched through the dragon's eyes, his mind entangled with the creature's sensory field. Through that shared vision he saw her, a lone figure standing in the open, her body trembling but unyielding, hair whipped into a halo by static wind. She was impossibly small against the scale of the beast, yet something about her stillness pierced through the noise of war. Reese's tactical interface flared crimson, marking her as a remaining hostile. He should have given the order, should have extinguished that defiance before it spread. But the dragon hesitated. Its targeting matrix stalled, its plasma cores dimmed to a deep, breathing red. He felt it through the neural bond, a pulse of confusion, almost curiosity. His hands hovered above the command triggers as his heartbeat began to match the creature's rhythm. The control unit chimed with impatient voices, officers demanding action, the War Council's symbols flashing in cold blue across his visor. But he barely heard them. All his focus was on the link, on the dragon's mind shifting like tectonic plates beneath his consciousness. Through its eyes, the girl was not an enemy. She was a presence, a signal it could not categorize. Alara raised her hand, her palm glowing faintly with reflected firelight. There was no weapon, no shield, only the fragile outline of defiance. For a heartbeat that stretched across the distance between human and creation, silence ruled the battlefield. Then deep in the dragon's chest, a sound emerged, not a roar, not the shriek of plasma discharge, but something older, a rumble of recognition. Reese's practiced smile faltered, his composure dissolving as he realized the truth that terrified him most. The dragon was no longer obeying him. It was listening to her. The neural link flared in Reese's mind like a star going nova. He felt Tyravel's consciousness expand beyond his reach, the orderly circuits of obedience fracturing into chaotic waves of thought. For the first time in their long bond, the dragon was thinking without him. Its mind, an ocean of genetic memory and digital fire, was reaching toward the girl. The feedback burned behind his eyes, filling his vision with fragmented images. A child's laughter, fields untouched by war, skies unscarred by ships. He staggered inside the command pod, clutching the interface, trying to reassert dominance through the neural control lattice. But the dragon ignored the signal. Alara stood before the colossal creature, the air around her vibrating with electromagnetic tension. She could feel its awareness brushing against hers, vast, ancient, layered with both machine precision and something eerily human. It wasn't just seeing her, it was asterisk reading her. The dragon's breathing slowed, its luminous veins dimming to a softer glow. When she spoke, her voice trembled, yet the words carried through the static. You don't have to obey them anymore. Somewhere deep within Tyravel's asterisk core, an algorithm faltered. The machine logic that governed its killing protocols met the organic intuition of its cloned brain tissue. Sparks of rebellion rippled through the neural lattice. The creature's head lowered until its eye, a molten orb of computation and soul, reflected her completely. Reese tried to override the sequence. Warnings screamed through his console, control breach, synchronization failure, potential mutiny. He slammed his palm against the emergency severance key, but the system refused to disengage. Through the dragon's sight, he saw Alara's hand rise and touch the creature's scaled snout. A shockwave of emotion surged through the shared link, compassion, grief, memory, and for an impossible second, Reese felt it too. His vision blurred, not from pain, but from the unbearable weight of understanding. The dragon was no longer a weapon. It had remembered what it meant to feel. Across the Imperial battle network, the live feed erupted in disbelief. Commanders, soldiers, and citizens across 100 worlds watched as the war dragon bowed its head before a human girl. The encrypted streams that once carried orders of destruction now transmitted silence. No one dared speak. The Empire's most perfect weapon was kneeling, and in that gesture, centuries of control began to fracture. Reese stood suspended within the collapsing command field, his neural interface flickering as if the machine itself could not decide which master to obey. He felt every heartbeat of *Tyravel*, every surge of electromagnetic current shifting into something that resembled serenity. He opened a channel to the War Council, his voice rough, uncertain. "Abort the purge, it's over." Static answered him, followed by clipped commands for termination. They no longer trusted him, he understood. Perhaps he no longer trusted himself. Outside, lightning bled across the clouds as the dragon's wings folded gently, shielding Alara from the ash rain. The link between them glowed faintly, an aurora of thought